Okay, this is John McAllister, and this is my first adventure of doing an actual interview it'll go on my YouTube. It's part of my McAllister Scouting Report. And today I picked out really a good guy, an old friend of mine, Mike Mauk. He used to be the head football coach at Kenton High School, and now he's out in Springfield, Missouri at Glendale High School. Coach, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, John. I feel honored and privileged to have the opportunity to be the first one on your podcast or a little show here, but it's just moving in with technology, and I appreciate the opportunity not only to talk a little football, but spend some time with you as well.
Well, we've solved a lot of problems at McDonald's in Kenton over the years, and it's something that I always remember. Mike, real quickly, let's talk football first. Kenton, Ohio. You know, the people that know you, obviously 2 state championships and 2 runners-up. And how did you get the program going? Because it wasn't in great shape when you got there.
Well, first of all, I was blessed to have a great administrative team. You know, John Murray, Jerry Stauffer, David Sturgeon were very supportive of me and allowed me to make mistakes early in my career, maybe not run the right plays or be in the right schemes or things like that. But they supported me and helped me learn and grow, gave me the opportunity to go talk to coaches that were a lot more intelligent than I to gain knowledge, and allowed me to mature and develop as a coach. And I'll be forever grateful for the opportunities that they gave me there at Kenton High School.
Well, it's really good. Okay, I remember I got to know you a little bit, and then I remember sitting in your office and you said, "What do you think of this?" And you were spreading these offensive guys all over the field. Okay, quarterback, direct snap, back to the quarterback, and nobody had done that. So where did that's what everybody in Ohio, and I'm sure in Springfield, Missouri now are familiar with. Where did you come up with it? Where did you come up with the spread?
Well, to be honest with you, I wanted to try to find a way to help our team be successful. And, we played against some great football teams, St. Mary's Memorial, Ottawa Glandorf, Van Wert. I mean, there's just a lot of really good teams in the Western Buckeye League, and we had not had a lot of success doing the things that they were doing. So I began to look a little bit at doing something different. I wasn't going to be able to run the wing tee as good as St. Mary's could run it. I wasn't going to be as good at running the split back veer as maybe Salina was doing it. So I had to come up with something that gave us an advantage. And the first thing we did was we really worked hard on trying to strengthen our defense, which I felt that we did. In fact, maybe my 4th year at Kenton, we had the best defense statistically wise in the Western Buckeye League, but we didn't win a game in the league. So, we set out to look at what we could do to make our offense better. And again, we knew we couldn't do it the way everybody else is doing it. So we had to find a way that was a little bit different and unique. So I really began to look at the one-back offense at that time, the run and shoot, and began to learn a lot about the blocking schemes and, kind of reduce the number of plays we ran, and then began to really study and spend a lot of time learning from as most intelligent people I could about the passing game. So I would go to clinics. I would listen to coaches speak. I'm not the smartest guy, so I would record what they were saying. Then I'd go back to my office and I'd listen and I'd write it down and just try to teach myself about coverages, about protecting the quarterback. And this is all out of a one-back set, which was very popular at that time. And that's kind of really where I got started, doing what we do with our offense. And then, things at the end of the last century began to change because I got the idea of moving that back out of the backfield to see what we could do. And so that's where I began to just experiment and be able to do the things that we do now. And, it's kind of evolved and, gave us an opportunity to be a little bit more successful on the football field and made the football game a lot more fun for our kids to practice and prepare for, and very difficult to defend, I believe.
I think one of the funniest things about the spread is that everybody says they run the spread, but they don't really run the spread. They just line up. And I think one of the things unique about you is, and the guys that used to run the old Tiger Ellison run and shoot, they knew if you did this, they were going to do that. And I think it's really good. You know, they knew what to look for. Tell me, what's the most, if I'm going to start next week with an offense, what's the most important thing I should take into consideration when I run the spread?
I think the first thing you look at, you got to have an athlete that can be the quarterback, somebody that can run, somebody that could elude a little bit of rush at times, and a guy that's got a strong arm, is very athletic, loves the game of football. That quarterback position is a very significant position in an offense like what we try to run. And then second of all, you know, I think you got to be able to protect the quarterback. You got to have the proper scheme of how you're going to allow him to have time to throw the football and do the things that look good on paper. But then when you get out there against the defense, you know, you got to give him time to do the things that you've instructed him to do. So I would say, number one, you got to have a quarterback that can throw the football and is elusive, is an athlete, likes to make plays, and then have an offensive line that at least schematically can protect him and allow him time to throw the football. And then naturally, then you're looking for receivers. And we were very blessed to have a lot of good receivers at Kent, and we've had some outstanding receivers out here in Missouri as well.
Okay, let's talk Missouri then. You know, you accomplished, and people know you and I are really close, but you accomplished just about everything in Ohio. And also you were elected to the Ohio High School Football Hall of Fame. Why Missouri, Mike, other than the obvious that your daughter is there?
Well, number one, my daughter
was there before you, excuse me.
Well, my wife went to school here in Springfield, went to Evangel University. And then when my daughter graduated high school, she went to Evangel and graduated in 4 years and married a gentleman who, you know, worked here at the university and lives in Springfield. So she began to raise her family. And that was probably the initial draws to come out to be with her. Of course, Maddie was playing at the University of Missouri, so that made it nice as well. And so, you know, I got to that 35 years of teaching in Ohio and had to make a decision if I was going to continue doing that or go ahead and retire and start a new life, so to speak. And that's what we decided to do, and moved out to Missouri and been here ever since.
Okay. I don't want to put Kenton down, but it's a small town, and you did a really good job putting Kenton on the map, and Brent Fackler's continued that. But now you're in Springfield, Missouri, Glendale High School, and it's a city school. What's the biggest difference that you've had to overcome?
Well, first of all, my time at Kenton was very well lived. I had some great people I worked with, I worked for. I've got to coach some tremendous athletes and get to know a lot of kids. People treated me extremely well there, or I wouldn't have been there 31 years and had the opportunity to do the things we did. And there's a lot of things I miss about what we had there, but it was just a time of life where I had to make a decision on what I was going to do. And moving to Missouri ended up being the opportunity for me, and that we took advantage of. So we moved out here, and you know, you mentioned it being a city school. You know, I really wasn't, you know, I was a little familiar with the Columbus city schools, the Toledo city schools, and the like. And I didn't realize that Glendale was really, I mean, I knew it was a city school, but I didn't realize they tied into it like they were. So it's been a big learning adjustment for me, just from the standpoint of having, you know, 5 teams in your town instead of just one, and sharing a lot of facilities, sharing a lot of situations, guidance, direction, administration, you know, and, you know, it's been different and something that we've tried to adjust to. You know, we had a really good season, maybe my 3rd or 4th year here, and really had as good a year as they've ever had. But, you know, just trying to continue that operation, continue to build, you know, it's a challenge and something that, you know, I still enjoy doing and like doing, and feel we can still do. And we're trying to improve and get better, which I think we are, and try to do the same thing we did back in Ohio.
That's really good. And now we're going to close here pretty soon, but I would be remiss if I didn't ask you how the boys are doing, where the boys are, and what the boys are doing right now.
Well, you know, I have, being a football coach and being a teacher was something I always wanted to do. And, you know, I raised my family there in Kenton. I had the opportunity to coach all 3 of my boys, watch my daughter, you know, go through school and be involved in the music program, and was a cheerleader. And, you know, I had an opportunity to coach a lot of other outstanding football players coming through the different years I was coaching, from back when Tom Lees played and went to Ohio State, to Britton Crates going to Michigan State, and a lot of those players that I had in between, and then having my own sons have an opportunity to go to school. You make a lot of good relationships, and it's something you try to build upon. But that's probably what I miss the most, is just being around that excitement, that enthusiasm. Coming out here, it's been an adjustment, been a change. But I remember a lot of coaches coming through, and they would tell me about how good of players their sons were, and they're going to have a great high school career. And I realized that, they were going to Ohio State to play the Buckeyes, or going up to Bowling Green to play against Bowling Green or Toledo, and they were not able to watch their sons play on Friday night. So I really felt it was important that I, number one, be a dad to my kids. And, you watch them go through high school, you're at every practice, you're at every workout, you're at every day at school, and you see them play every game, and then they go to college and they graduate. And I think the greatest joy for me really in my life outside of my faith and belief in God would be in my relationship with my wife. I don't want to forget her, but, have all three of your boys come back and coach with you and be involved in your program, your weightlifting, your off season, your summer conditioning, go through the season. This is our first year. We had all three of my boys, Jonathan, Benjamin, and Maddie, all three were coaching with me. And, there's no value you can put on that, except that, that's something that was very important to me. And I'm glad I've had an opportunity to do that, and hope I can do it for a number of years yet to come.
That's good. That's what I wanted to make sure we knew. All three boys were coaching. Jonathan's in Springfield now, and that's really neat. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention your wife, because, behind every good man, there's a great woman, right? So I would be able to say that about her.
Well, she really is.
The last thing we haven't talked about, and it's something we both do, and I've really gotten stronger, tell me where God is, where Christ is right now in your life, and then we'll finish here.
Well, I think, the most important thing in my life is my faith and belief in God. I would not be able to achieve or done anything that I'd done in my life without his guidance, without his direction. I was raised in a family that was very strong in our faith and belief in God, and realizing that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, and paid the most horrific penalty for my sins that gave me an opportunity to have eternal life with him someday in heaven. And, that's probably my greatest joy, my greatest thing in life, is to really not only have that faith and belief, but to know in your heart that someday that's where you're going to be, and you're going to spend eternity. And what was important to me was to make sure that the people around me, the people I love the most and care about, were also aware of that. And we live in a different world today where it's tough to really share your faith and belief, and not realize that somebody might be looking over your shoulder saying you can't be doing that. But it still is the most important thing to me, and what I will live my life until the day I die, looking forward to that opportunity to be with God someday in heaven, and be grateful for all the things he's done for me and my family, and give me the life that I've had to live. It's really went by fast, and something I've really enjoyed. And I just think that's still very important. It will always be important to me.
Well, Coach Mauk, this is my first one. I'm excited about doing these things. My plans are to talk to kids and adults, and do a little, I think we're all in this together, Mike. I think we're trying to build character. I think we're trying to help kids, and anything we can do, I know you do. Anything I can do, I'm looking forward to it. Hey, you have a great night. You're an hour behind us, and you got some easy time yet before you go to bed. I appreciate all your help, okay? Thank you, John, very much.
Thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it, and I appreciate what you do. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.